No, Kay Jackson, along with her husband, actor Andrew Stevens, are doing a movie for television called Topper. That's an adaptation, speaking going back a few years. I think that was in the 30s, around 1937, something like that first came out. It airs this Friday on another network. She's a lovely lady. Would you welcome Kay Jackson?
I brought you a basket of puppies. People have been asking me if I was going to have kids, and I had puppies instead. Do you like them?
Look at that. I was making the change backstage, and I hardly had time to say, hi, how are you? And I saw you with this basket, and I didn't even get a look at it.
Let me put the basket down. I'm going to give you...
You've got to see
Look at this one. Pause just on the side. Look at this.
Can you see her?
Just kind of braced.
She's listing toward the side.
What an angle.
This is Dolly Dumps. She's going to have blue eyes.
Look at the faces.
And this is the Pope. These puppies are... Let's see. Can you hold that?
Sure.
These puppies are 4 weeks old. They're real.
Those are Siberian
Huskies.
Now, they're a little nervous.
See, his ear is just starting to stand up.
Look at that.
Shaking, yeah.
They're shaking because they're scared a little bit.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring them out to say
Is this the first time? Did you raise these professionally, or?
No, my dog that I've had for about 4 years. We bred her, and she looked like she was going to have the breeders thought she would have 5 to 7, and instead she dropped these 2 football
Look at this, Johnny.
brains.
She knows I'm the one that sells the dog food.
Okay, I'm going to take them back now, so that nobody.
Yeah, because they'll get a little upset out here with the lights and everything.
Is Rick over there?
You just take them over there. You may never see them again, Kate. Once the staff. Those are adorable. Now, those dogs get to be very large, do they not?
Not really. They're smaller than German Shepherds.
I'm thinking of St. Bernards, of course.
Yeah, they're smaller than German Shepherds, and they look a lot like Malamutes, but they're smaller.
Yeah.
They're sort of delicate dogs, really.
Are you going to keep them now, or do you get...
Yeah.
You get so attached?
Yeah.
It's tough when they're like that. All animals, when they're small, you say, well, I'll sell them or give them away to a friend. Then all of a sudden they're around a few weeks.
Well, we'll keep them.
And you can't.
Yeah.
You have room to keep a dog? There's a law here. Somebody in California, you can keep so many dogs on your property.
I think you can have 3, but, we're right outside of the city limits.
So you've got more than... Yeah. Are these the only 2 you have? Or?
No, now we have 4. The mother, these 2, and their half-brother.
Hey, it's nice to see you here.
Thank you. It's nice to see you.
I've been reading about this thing. First of all, you have a wedding anniversary last week or this week?
August 23rd.
Yeah. That was...
It was...
See, you have to show up here occasionally to find out what date it is. Number 1. Was it the first year?
The first one, yeah.
Now, I have forgotten what the first year is.
Paper.
I think that's what I got. Papers.
You got served paper.
No, yes, I think so. That's what I got. Somebody gave me papers. No, not a... You're laughing, too. Do you hold to that? In other words, you must exchange gifts made of paper? Or...
We did.
What'd you get?
Andrew brought me a piñata.
Well, that's the...
it was, the thing
that you hang up and hit with a stick and little gifts and toys fall out?
Yeah, I was working in Canada,
right.
And he was working in Los Angeles, and I got the telephone book and the map that has the area code thing in the front of it, and found right in between, just exactly in the middle, was St. Louis. Right. So we both went to St. Louis and...
That's very romantic.
Blew the roof off the Howard Johnsons.
Oh, did you really? The old orange roof fell off, huh? You weren't around, of course, at all when Topper originally came out. When's the first time you saw it?
I was going to say 1937.
Yeah, you were not around then.
No, I saw it on television. I don't know.
Who did the original one?
Cary Grant, Constance Bennett, and Roland Young.
Right.
Then there was a sequel that the dog was introduced in the sequel.
Was that after?
Asta. The Fox Terrier. And then Neil, the drunken St. Bernard, was in the series in the 50s.
What? Asta? Wasn't William Powell at one time did that, or am I thinking of something else?
No, Asta took Cary Grant's place in the sequel. It was Constance Bennett and Asta, yeah.
What am I thinking of?
North, Mr.
What series did William...
The Thin Man?
The Thin Man. Now, didn't they have a dog?
Yeah.
Yes, they did. Asta. It was the same dog.
That dog, that agent, booked that same dog on 2 different shows. That's the same agent I had. He used to book you both places at the same time. I didn't think my memory was that bad.
Yeah, the dog that we use, his name is Sam, and his most recent credits are The Jerk with Steve Martin and The Incredible Shrinking Woman.
Yeah, is Steve's picture out yet? I know he was here talking about it one night, but I don't know if it's been released.
Soon, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Are you happy with the way it looks?
Yeah,
Good.
it looks good.
I hope it's big for you.
Thank
Now,
you very
you left Charlie's Angels last year, after how many years on the show?
3.
Was that a tough career decision to make?
Well, we were talking about big bucks there. We
Yeah.
were talking about some money, so...
Right.
But no, it wasn't, because when I got married, I couldn't do the series and have a relationship. When I was single, it was fine, but I couldn't do both.
Why? The hours?
Too many hours. I had 3 hours a day at home, 1 in the morning at, like 5:30, between 5:30 and 6:30 when
That's
I
not
left.
too
And
good,
then
yeah.
I got home about 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, and there wasn't enough
You read the
time.
script until you're exhausted and go to bed and start it all over again.
Yeah. So I got out, to
Yeah.
keep everything else together.
I want to ask you a few questions on that show. You've been asking them a dozen times, but I'll
That's
ask them
okay.
when we come back.
Sure.
Started to talk about Charlie's Angels, which you may or may not getting tired of because you answered so many questions about it. But there were so many stories created in the press about what went on the set, jealousies. I suppose it was because 3 beautiful girls working together. Nobody thought that you could exist without, I suppose, temper tantrums and so forth. You said you thought the press sometimes made you out the bad one. Is it true? Or?
Was it true that I was the bad one, or that they made me out the bad one?
Well, either way.
Well,
Take
answer
either one. Either one of them above.
No, it seemed like sometimes, a lady at the Washington Post did a hatchet job on me just
Really?
the other day.
What'd she say?
I know, I didn't want to say. I just thought I could slide that in.
I see you did.
But I wouldn't say anything else, Sometimes those newspapers that aren't really newspapers,
Yeah, tabloids,
yes, that
yeah.
you buy in the grocery store. But nobody buys them. They just pick them up and read them when they're in the line on the way out. I don't know how they make
That's
so
what
much
they always,
money.
That's always what they say, right?
Yeah.
Gee, it just jumped in my shopping bag.
Yeah, those people make up a lot of stories.
What's the worst thing they ever said about you?
Oh, God, I wouldn't repeat it. Because it was a total lie, and I really almost sued them, but it's not worth staying that close to it for as long as it takes to get them to court and spend as much money as it would cost.
That's true. It gets to be a long, involved process.
Yeah, there's somebody now who's coming close to maybe winning the suit against them, because they just tell terrible lies. You don't believe that stuff, do you?
My wife...
No.
I can say this now because I couldn't comment it earlier since I've been on the show, but my wife and I, Joanna, won a suit against a publication that was originated in Chicago that is now out of business.
That's
But
wonderful.
we won a suit for libel.
That's wonderful.
We did not collect damages because they're out of business, but the judge ruled that just because you're in the public eye or happen to be famous, that somebody cannot sit down and manufacture stories or put words in somebody else's mouth or manufacture dialogue.
Were they already out of business, or
Not at the time.
Did they print a retraction?
No, they never printed a retraction, and we sued, and they went out of business for some reason.
Yeah.
But we did win a libel case, so it does show that if you pursue those things sometime, you have to make up your mind whether it's worth all of the aggravation, all of the depositions.
I think people are finally deciding now there's somebody else that's suing.
But I think when you come out and it's
one.
really malicious, when it's really completely out of hand, obviously when you're in the public eye, they're going to write things about you you're not going to like. It's very difficult to prove malice, that somebody did intentionally to harm you or to hold you up to public ridicule, etc. Very difficult.
Yeah, and it really, they're not funny. Some people say they read them because they're funny and they know they're not true, but they're not funny. They hurt people.
Are you folks still living?
Yes, they are.
See, now that's another thing. What happens? Your parents will pick up a copy of that and read some of these things somewhere, and all of a sudden you got to be on the phone saying, it didn't happen.
Oh yeah, that's bad stuff.
Yeah. Did you ever get any fights with the other girls? Was there any jealousy on Charlie?
No,
you can tell us now, Kate.
No, I'll tell you.
Let's really get into the dirt here.
Good
morning, America.
I'm safe.
You're safe here.
It won't go further.
It won't go any further than this.
Okay. No, it was.
Actually, this show just goes to this building.
Does it? See, that's what they told me, but I'm the smart one. I didn't believe it.
Didn't believe me? Ah, dang.
I had my birthday recently, and Andrew, my husband, Andrew Stevens, gave me a surprise. Yeah. A surprise birthday party, and Jackie and Farrell were both there.
Yeah? Well, now you see.
And, and Sam Melville from The Rookies. And,
Right.
Some people that I've worked with all along. So those stories were really silly.
Mm-hmm. You never got to the point where you want to reach over and yank somebody's hair, let's say, just for example.
No, hair is one thing you would never touch on that
that's
show.
right.
That's where the money is.
That's
You don't touch the hair.
big bucks. Big bucks. You're talking big dollars, big bucks in the hair. Now, you just told me during the break, and somebody told me before, that you were an NBC tour guide.
Yeah.
Now, those of you who are here today might have been out earlier, might have taken what they call the NBC tour. All the studios have them. motion picture studios, television studios, Universal. And you were a tour guide.
In New York.
In New York City. At the
When
time,
you were there.
we were doing The Tonight Show.
Yeah, and
Did you know?
No.
Kate then? I didn't.
No, well, see, no, nobody knew me.
Yeah.
But
Of
what I
course you
did
went.
was I went to school at the American Academy in the afternoon, and I
Right.
did the tour in the morning, and your studio was
6B.
verboten. It was
6B.
off limits. Yeah, but I had friends all around the building who would let me take my tours up into the top and point out the cameras and the desk and the
Give me a little
chairs and
give me a little
things.
spiel. Do you remember?
Oh, well, you know what I remember? I remember mostly stuff like this is Studio 8H, NBC's largest studio, where Arturo Toscanini led the NBC Symphony Orchestra from 1937 to from whatever it was to whenever. And this is also the Space Center during the,
Shannon, you just go right on?
Yeah.
You had all this program.
No, well, see, I learned a lot of extra stuff because I had taken the tour when I was 15.
Did you ever make things up?
Yes.
I know a lot of the pages, because, you know, you're doing the same spiel every day, just to throw a little fun into it, would make up the most outrageous things. Prices of camera would go up 3 or 4 times.
Oh, yeah.
Those famous people who had been there and stood on that very spot. They
My
just
technical
manufactured-
knowledge was astounding.
Yeah.
Yes, especially to
Who's-
me, and it
who's
just
to-
rolled right off.
Who's to
tripping
question
me.
it, right?
No, but it was fun.
Trouble is, you get that so well in mind. I remember once we were down, is it in Philadelphia where they have the old Ironsides? Constitution?
I don't know.
Boston, you're right. In Boston once, and I went aboard there. We were playing there a few years ago, and the young men are dressed in the naval uniforms of that particular period, and they had the speech so well honed that if you stopped and asked a question, they would have to go back and start over because the guys said these cannons were installed and made by the Summit Forge in England, and then and you'd say, well, what kind of metal is that? And the guy would have to go clear back. You see, in 1896, and he'd start the whole thing over again, so they'd never ask questions. How long did you do that?
I only did it for about 6 months because when I started to get like that, I
Yes.
decided that it wasn't worth there however much it cost them to have me sort of bored with it doing that. You know, because I started to say when I was 15, I took the tour and I was sort of disappointed because my guide was real blasé and bored. I know that the ones here now aren't. You know.
Now, anybody take the tour today?
No, but no, they're wonderful here. They are nice and
I'll
friendly.
show you how inflation has gone up. Do you remember what it cost in those days to take the tour?
I don't really. It was something like $2.
Was it that much then?
No, maybe it was $1.75.
Now about
for
2
adults.
1/4 or something, isn't it? Yeah. What did you folks get to see today? Nothing.
But the guys
So you
are
folks
nice.
planning your vacation, be sure to come out and take advantage of that. Lady probably didn't hear the lady from the back said it was fascinating. I can't, it's hard to hear when they're down here. Then somebody told me when you're about 20 years old, you drove out here
I
to
drove
Hollywood
from New
all by
York.
yourself.
Yeah. I got in the car and...
Did you have a job, or did you just...
No, I just decided it was the right time to come and...
It takes a lot of
anyone
guts.
else. Yeah. If I had it to do over, I've often wondered if I would do it again. I don't know if I would be as brave.
Well, you know, when you're young, sometimes you do
Again,
things
yeah.
that, without that, you just say, I'm going to go do it.
It was fun, though.
What happened when you got to Hollywood? You'd never been here before.
I had an agent who was really interested, and I started to work quickly. The first thing I did was a little guest spot on Jimmy Stewart's first half-hour show. So my first scene was with Jimmy Stewart, and I knocked on a door, and he opened it, and we had this little scene, and he was a college professor. No.
Well, you're very lucky. You see, that's the exception, though.
No, I am fortunate.
You're very fortunate because that's the exception. That so many young people, gals and guys, come to Hollywood, and very few have that kind of
I was
opportunity.
real lucky, and I had good people doing nice things for me.
Right.
At the right place at the right time. And
You wanted to mention before we quit talking about tomorrow night is the top rep. So you also have Jack Warden in
Jack
this,
Warden plays Topper,
who
yes, and
is
he's
a
wonderful. And
super actor.
Rue McClanahan is Mrs. Topper. That was Billy Burke in the original.
Oh, she's wonderful.
And it's a real good movie.
Yeah, she's wonderful. We're going to do this. We're going to come right back. You stay with us a while?
Oh, sure.
Okay, we'll be right back.